This jacket is made from a highly advanced patented fabric where individual fibers are encapsulated with an ultra-thin nylon polymer to improve their strength and water resistance. It retails at approximately $2,000. And this one costs $20, has the word fashion written on it, and probably counts as a significant fire hazard. We're taking a look at over 10 jackets from every different price band so we can find out exactly how bad something like this is, what happens as you move up the price tiers, and what you might get for your $2,000. This is All Might here, spending thousands of dollars on jackets so you don't have to. What happens as you spend progressively more, and how much should you spend on a jacket? Let's find out. By this point, everyone is aware of the various horrible websites which sell almost everything at absurdly cheap prices, gamifying the experience of shopping into, will I receive the thing that I've ordered or will it be completely useless? And I bought this jacket from one such website, which I will not name because I don't want to give them free publicity. It cost £13 or $17, I think, and showed up in an unmarked bag with no tags, etc. The first thing is this smells so bad. This isn't the first time I've bought low quality ultra fast fashion clothing, and they often do have a strong chemical or smoky smell, which can be a little bit difficult to get rid of. That alone makes it a bit unpleasant to wear, and it really feels like I'm wrapped in a plastic bag because it's trapping too much heat. The mesh inside is an attempt to mitigate that, but it ain't working. A jacket like this shouldn't be keeping you warm. It's purely for weather protection, which means you can wear them in pretty much any season. Getting insanely hot wearing these is often a sign of poor material breathability, and this is often a problem in very cheap jackets. It's easy to make a plastic material that keeps water out. The difficult part is allowing water vapor to escape, i.e. sweat, because without that, you just turn into a big watery mess on the inside. It's not good. Aside from that, it looks fine, I guess. I took my usual size, it fits okay. It has some basic hood adjustment with a very odd mechanism to keep the hood in place. It's got hand pockets and surprisingly a label that isn't complete nonsense. Something interesting worth noting, the inside of the collar is completely blank, where normally there would be a brand logo or something here. I suspect that this is basically a white label product, so you can approach the factory that made this and say, I want 100 jackets that look like this, and they will make them for you to this specification, and they'll just put your logo on the inside at the end. It seems in this case they just didn't bother to do that. Where was this made? Well, the label inside says made in China. Does that really matter? It can give an indication, but it doesn't tell the whole story. Some countries like Bangladesh or Pakistan specialize in cheap clothing manufacture. You're unlikely to see incredible craftsmanship come from those countries, it's just not what they focus on. Conversely, Italy and Portugal have a history of high-end manufacture and family-run facilities with highly trained garment workers. However, can products be part made in one country and finished in Italy so brands can claim it's made there? Yes. Can cheap labor from abroad be flown in to set up manufacturers in more prestigious countries? Yes. Do high-end manufacturers with skilled garment workers exist in China? Also yes. Worth noting, the $2,000 jacket, which is a very different product to this, is also made in China. But you know what? It's easily as good as you would expect for such a low amount of money. Yeah, you're not going to be very comfortable wearing it, but it's gonna keep the rain off, technically. It's got a semi-functioning hood, it's got hand pockets. And while I wouldn't say this looks good, it's pretty inoffensive. Going up a tier to a fast fashion retailer like AliExpress also has its problems. I got this jacket here from Catstack a while ago. I think it retailed at like $60, $70. It's this one here, and it uses a more comfortable, pliable, soft shell fabric that's definitely nicer than the previous one. But the quality issues are pretty obvious. There's numerous loose threads and just signs of kind of sloppy construction throughout. What you're really paying for with something like this is the product design, the stuff that looks cooler or has a more directional aesthetic. You can see, versus the previous one, it's obviously more technical in its look. There's additional zip pockets, there's a row of molly webbing on each side, although a single row isn't necessarily that useful. You will also see this looks really small on me, despite being a size up from my usual. This is pretty common with these kinds of retailers and drop shippers and stuff. The sizing compared to Western standards is absolutely all over the place. Even garment measurements aren't always super accurate, so it can feel like a bit of a gamble. Some hardware is theoretically better. The zips are marked as YKK, which is a Japanese manufacturer known for good quality hardware and very much a standard for decent clothing. However, the action is really not smooth on these. It is actually possible that these are fake. Yes, fake hardware does exist, would you believe? This can be remedied by applying graphite fight to the zip track, but as soon as we leave this tier, this kind of thing just isn't really an issue. At this point, fast fashion retailers like Zara or H&M will likely have better products than this one here, although you may be more restricted to on-trend aesthetics. Sub $100 places like Uniqlo or Weekday are a great place to look for decent jackets at lowish prices. Getting a little more expensive, there are loads of entry-level performance brands aimed at giving you a decent product at an affordable price. Columbia is one of the best, so I've got their Altbound jacket here. This is immediately more comfortable and better looking than both previous jackets. They're using a Gore-Tex equivalent fabric here, which will be cheaper but aims to do a similar thing of providing wind and rain protection and breathability. We'll come back to Gore-Tex later. Some other features have gotten better too. This is the first jacket to use a 3-point hood adjustment, meaning you can get a better fit in bad weather. It uses this unique little toggle to lock it down in quite a clean way that I like. And there's a hem adjuster too, so you can do the Gorpcore tuck straight from the Instagram Explore page. Yes, the actual reason is to help protect from wind and rain. Another upgrade, take a look at these zips. Now these are not YKK, they're made by Ideal, which I haven't heard of before. But this is an equivalent to a reverse coil AquaGuard zip, and as the name might imply, that's designed to help keep water out, more appropriate for heavier wear and harsher conditions. Aesthetically though, this is super neutral. I mean, it's not literally just a big square of fabric, there are some examples of articulation going on here, but it's pretty simple, it's not going to attract much attention. Clearly it's a utility first item, but at the same time it means no one's going to hate on you for wearing something like this. At this price you might find brands with a little more fashion focus like Rains, there's Purple Mountain Observatory who have sprung up recently to cater to more casual Gorpcore fans, or one of the big sportswear brands. If you're enjoying this format of going up the tiers in clothing, please give the video a like. It is the best way to show me that you want to see more. And if you want to spend a little more, you could be looking at brands like the North Face or Patagonia, which are super solid and reputable in this space. At a similar price point but other end of the spectrum, you have something like a Machine 56, which is clearly extremely aesthetically driven with all of these graphic elements, and is far less concerned with day-to-day wearability. This is a lot less breathable, for example, but it does make for an interesting contrast, and it's a good example that at this kind of price point you can still get things which look very visually differentiated. You don't just have to have super plain stuff. Until this point, spending more tends to introduce more features which will likely be of benefit to most people. More expensive brands and higher price points though might start offering specializations to cater to specific activities or groups of people, rather than offering a do-it-all solution like these Columbia jackets or like the mainline offerings from North Face, Patagonia, etc. I showed the North Face and Undercover collaboration in the last video that they kindly sent out to me, and this is a much higher price point than a typical North Face jacket of this kind of feature set. Partly what that gets you is the Undercover association that we covered in detail last video, but also the injection of fashion into a performance product. Oversized sleeves and tight cuffs give it a retro feel, combined with a color combo and panel detail. This material is crazy light, it's intended for trail running, and it packs away into a dedicated little pocket with a surprisingly robust strap. But it's also equipped with a multi-pocket array down here, concealed chest pockets as well, which an ordinary trail running jacket would never include. And the seam tape, designed for water resistance, is dual branded. It's a perfect blend of function and aesthetics. Here the higher price point is giving access to combinations of features which are usually unavailable, like that ultralight fabric plus the high carrying capacity, because they perhaps don't make sense from a purely performance perspective. If you wanted a jacket like this for running, you wouldn't want to carry loads of stuff with you at the same time. But from a lifestyle perspective, where you can benefit from the higher carrying capacity, and you can benefit from this being made of an ultralight material and it being packable. This is a common theme, that higher price points unlock aesthetic options without needing to make sacrifices in the performance department. Oh, and I have to show you the enormous poncho, which is more interesting because they've turned something normally purely for emergency use that looks incredibly lame into a fashion-forward product that's way more full-featured. I can't wait to whip this out and stunt on people next time there's an emergency rainstorm. I pull this thing out of its pocket, because yes, this is also packable. At this kind of price point, you've got access to something like the Arc'teryx Beta LT. I feel like it's everything a full-feature technical jacket should be, whilst looking pretty good. Before we dive into this tier though, I want to show you another full-feature technical product that also looks good, and it's this video's paid sponsor, Cubo. Because what could be more technical than a pocket-heavy bag ecosystem full of examples of considered design, which you'll probably like if this jacket topic has interested you so far. I took their Lev 24 backpack on a trip recently, and it's ideal for taking a lot of stuff with you whilst keeping it organized and fitting the technical vibe I tend to like. Something I particularly enjoyed is the pocket array, giving you easy access options, very secure options, and everything in between, to the point it feels like everything has its place. Not to mention the wide, stable base and the zips that run all the way to the bottom of the bag, meaning you really can open this thing up massively to easily access and place things in here. But I did say bag ecosystem because I also bought their packing cubes with me. And while it's nice to have these very nice looking structured spaces, they can also be used to attach directly to the backpack using their Vespi rail system. Versatility is always something I'm in favor of, and I'm also in favor of this a tiny little accessory pouch. Look at how cute this thing is. I can definitely see this being attached to a belt or a carabiner or something. A little bit of extra space, and it looks quite cute as well. You can see each item comes in a few different colors. Obviously, I am an all black fan, but if you want something a little less intimidating, the blues are quite nice as well, and the olive I think also works pretty nicely. The other proper bag is the eShow X5, a super structured sling bag perfect for cameras and similar items. It's surprisingly hard to find a cool looking camera bag, so I was very much in favor of this, and like the Lev 24 has a lot of versatility with how it can be used. There are multiple ways of getting into this thing, and the X-Wing system lets you change around the logical areas inside the bag to make it the perfect size for all your stuff. All in all, a super functional and cohesive collection which doesn't feel bloated at all, and you can really tell they care about the materials, the hardware, and how people are going to be making use of this stuff. And that's pretty cool to me. Even better, there is a super limited time 15% off if you use code ANTTECH15, valid for 2 weeks from when this video goes live, so why not hit the link in the description to check out Cubo for yourself. This is a totally new brand, and I'm honestly surprised at the level that it's at, and I know Cubo will be super interested to hear your feedback, so why not drop your honest opinions in the comments. Now about that Beta LT, what else is that giving you beyond the North Face collab? Well, more considered high-performance shells will often have pit zips. Even breathable fabric can't compete with opening a big section of jacket to dump heat, so these make a big difference in high output scenarios. Like the North Face jacket, there's internal seam taping throughout, and machine stitching externally, plus AquaGuard zippers make this about as impervious to water as you're going to get. Something you'll likely only find on more expensive jackets though is more complex patterning and articulation. That can be a little bit hard to tell on a flat picture, but once you get something like this on, you can really feel how this jacket is moving with your body better than if it was just a big square of fabric. You can see these different material panels on the shoulders, the elbows, under the arms, these places where you're moving around, and this is a great way to tell if attention is being paid to the articulation of a jacket and how you're going to move in it once it's on. Also, this is our first Gore-Tex jacket. That's a name that you should know very well by now. It is the water-resistant and breathable fabric, and it comes in so many variations, like 2-layer pack light, which is a bit lighter. You've got Gore-Tex Pro, which is more rugged. Even the standard 3-layer version like this one can come in different deniers, or how resistant to abrasion the fabric is, and different backing fabrics which affect next to skin comfort. Now, Gore-Tex is expensive to use. You need to purchase a license, and you also need to make sure that your factory is certified to use this fabric. So while it's debated as to whether Gore-Tex is better than equivalent 3-layer fabrics, or whether the average person actually needs it, what it does do at least is signal a certain level of quality and performance which might be of appeal if you decide to spend a little bit more on a jacket. It is worth noting that you can find Gore-Tex jackets cheaper than this Arc'teryx one if that fabric performance appeals to you. Around $250 is probably about the minimum for a new 3-layer jacket. A similar amount of money will also get you the Arc'teryx System A Moros. It's not Gore-Tex, no AquaGuard zips, doesn't have the same level of articulation, doesn't have a 3-point adjustable hood, doesn't have adjustable cuffs. Why? Well, this is 100% designed to be as light as possible, so all of those reductions and things that aren't on this jacket are actually kind of the benefit. Further, it packs into its own pocket, making it exceptionally easy to carry around. The System A line specifically is for reintroducing archival designs or ideas and recontextualizing them into something appropriate for a fashion audience that still cares about function and performance. The external seam taping, for example, is an aesthetic choice to give this a unique look, almost laying the performance bare so other people can see it. Gender-neutral oversized fit is, again, more fashion than function, and gives it more identity. It is a much more specialized product, an ultralight jacket with attention paid to fashion. There is a very small subset of people who are looking for that exact combination. And that small subset of people will pay a premium for something like this because there aren't that many other options. Few jackets will give you this kind of look, especially in this kind of weight category. You can get more expensive shells than this from premium brands. Are they worth it? Probably not. High-end ones might use Gore-Tex Pro, for example. Yes, that will last much better if you are climbing and scraping your shell on the cliff face you're abseiling down, but that's not only overkill for your trip to the coffee shop, it's actually worse because those materials can be less pliable and a little bit less breathable. That sort of thing is used in the Arc'teryx Alpha series, and they have other features like chest pockets instead of hand pockets so that they're not blocked by climbing harnesses.
That does then mean that you've got nothing really to put your hands in, but realistically when you're using this jacket you shouldn't be putting your hands in your your pockets because you're going to be too busy grabbing onto things and doing all sorts of cool stuff.
That is great for that use case, but objectively less useful for 99% of the population. Even within performance brands, do not come away thinking that the more expensive or higher spec jackets are the best ones. What they're actually doing is providing a more specialized product for that small number of people who need it. Most people will actually find the cheaper jackets are better. At this tier, there's many cool performance brands like Rab, Clattermuse, and Fjallraven, Tillac, Peak Performance, Descent, Nerona. All of those offer slightly different feature sets and aesthetics, but will produce a good product. There's also a whole category of jackets which offer more casual feature sets, but a more fashion-forward look. We're much more in the outdoor fashion space. Brands like Antwon, Snowpeak, Goldwyn, Norse Project, Nanamika. In these cases, you pay for lifestyle-appropriate feature sets and looks that are more casual and more appropriate for all-day and urban scenarios. Not everyone wants to look like they're going mountaineering 24/7, even though I still think an Arc'teryx Beta LT is a perfectly fine choice for city wear. Going more expensive still brings us into the realm of designer fashion brands. You might lose many performance features here, like these jackets from Nemen and Stone Island, which lack things like the pit zips, AquaGuard zippers, and high-performance 3-layer fabric. But you gain access to flashy looks, non-standard cuts, and materials used for their aesthetics, rather than their performance, while still being water-resistant. The slightly papery Nemen fabric, for example, takes to dye very well, producing this fantastic ombre effect you will not see on a performance brand. Stone Island on this admittedly pretty uncommon jacket uses a thermoreactive fabric which changes depending on body temperature. You might find for casual use the benefits of these eye-catching or fashion-forward looks will outweigh the drop in performance. Above the realms of performance brands, you'll also find ones which operate more like fashion designers, but really heavily incorporate performance elements into their worldview and design. Okay, so this one is actually an insulated jacket, but it's a really good example. So it's from JLAL, the Flash jacket. This is Italian made, unlike most of the jackets here, which gives you more of a sense that this is designed to be a high-end fashion product rather than a performance one. But it is a great feeling jacket. The face and backing fabric are very luxurious and comfortable to wear. More importantly for our purposes though are these mesh panels you'll see running throughout the jacket. Like the Moros, this is an example of using these performance elements and weaving them into the design of the jacket. Yes, this is designed to provide ventilation, but rather than hiding it, they are directly putting it all over the jacket and really making it feel like part of the design. Enough performance for lifestyle use and more stylish than performance products. It's an interesting combination. Let me show you another one. This Luca Hammers Recluse jacket that literally just came in is another great example, and it's a little bit more focused on the performance side with lots of high-end hardware being used, like this experimental YKK zip that, once you get used to the magnetic functionality, is pretty cool to use. The distinctive egg pocket is an easy place to access things, yes, but it's placed here for its sci-fi inspired aesthetic. You just would not find this in a purely performance-based product. You can also find performance-based collaborations up at this price point, like the Tillac and Haven Raptor jacket. It's a super full-featured jacket originally designed for high-end military use, so everything is very, very rugged, from the Gore-Tex Pro fabric, the AquaGuard zips, to the longer and more protective cut. Why are you paying more versus the regular military-approved version? Because it's not for the performance side. Well, it's allowing them to move out of that military color palette. You'll see a very delicate two-tone white and gray being used here, and it's actually a multi-material too. Now, from a practicality perspective, this is objectively worse. It will get more dirty. That's at odds with the Gore-Tex Pro fabric, which facilitates rough treatment. So this appeals to people who are interested in that absolute maximum spec. They want the best that Gore-Tex and all these high-performance features have to offer, but they still want something that is aesthetically driven and fashion-forward. And let's face it, uncommon. Most Gore-Tex jackets will not come in a white colorway like this. It instantly looks special, and if that look appeals, it's a perfectly valid reason to want to go up a price tier. Then there is, of course, the most expensive jacket here, the Acronym J1WBE. Yes, I know Acronym was also the most expensive one in my hoodie video. I'm not trying to always put them at the top bracket here. It just so happens it's one of my favorite brands. And at this point, I would love to know, what is your favorite brand for jackets right now? We can all use this as an opportunity to learn, find out some cool stuff. Please add it to the comments. It will make it super valuable for anyone who looks through this later. And while you do that, let me tell you what makes this jacket $2,000. To an extent, the easy answer for a luxury jacket is, well, that's what people will pay, but that isn't a very fun answer. For me, it's about the combination of many performance features, some of which are uncommon or experimental environmental, and aesthetics that no performance-only brand would attempt. First of all, the fabric. This is made of encapsulated nylon by a brand called Nextech. It's a process by which individual nylon fibers are wrapped in an ultra-thin polymer to make them water-resistant at a fiber level, whilst allowing breathability and a softer hand than a Gore-Tex shell, and it doesn't require the reapplication of DWR to keep it working. In short, for day-to-day lifestyle use, it's probably a bit better than Gore-Tex, although it's worth noting that Acronym also has plenty of Gore-Tex jackets at this kind of price point. While the zippers aren't AquaGuard, they use oversized metal ones as a conscious aesthetic choice. That's matched by the removable spikes you'll find on the hood and at the cuffs. Obviously, only a fashion brand would do something like this. You're not going to find spiked Arc'teryx jackets. But there are a few options generally for clothes with this kind of aesthetic and the performance features that are on here. You are absolutely paying for aesthetic differentiation, and that is true of the overall cut of this thing as well. This has a very early 2000s snowboard inspired thing to me. It's got this curved hem at the front, which I think looks great, and it's much closer to a luxury fashion brand silhouette than it is a performance one, despite, as we say, using all of these performance elements. And of course, the jacket sling, Acronym patented, which means that you can carry this around when you're not wearing it. Combined with complex patterning and a slew of other features, this requires a lot of materials and time to make, designed by a team headed by someone with decades of experience making outerwear products, made in low quantities, and we cannot forget the cult brand appeal of Acronym as well. People absolutely pay more for that association. At this outrageous end of the scale, there are simply few alternatives for a product like this. If you want the Acronym aesthetic, the Acronym feature set, the Acronym worldview, you pay Acronym price. And I haven't even gotten into luxury heritage fashion houses charging similar prices for their aesthetic without much of the performance many brands discussed here will offer. Unless you are a real Prada obsessive, these new jackets are a pretty difficult sell for me. There is a balancing act here between price, aesthetics, performance, and specialization. You absolutely can get good jackets for affordable prices. They tend to be do-it-all options for daily or casual use. Paying more first unlocks features that anyone can benefit from, then specializations which only a select group of people will benefit from, and maybe a detriment to everyone else. And that's particularly the case if you want those specializations to work alongside cooler or more directional looks. The most expensive jackets might not give you the highest all-around performance products, but they will offer identity and unique looks. They're made in small quantities for the small number of people who consider that cost to be worthwhile. But as we've discussed, there are decent options at pretty much any price point. Question is though, where do you think the best jackets lie here? Would be great to hear your opinions, and that's all for this time. Catch you in the next one.